The coffee was still warm when the sky caught fire. Dr. Amy Rodriguez had been grading papers at her kitchen table in Austin, Texas, when the first alien ship punched through the atmosphere like a burning meteor. She dropped her red pen and watched, through her window as more ships followed, their hulls glowing orange against the morning sky. Across the galaxy, Admiral Thok reviewed the final invasion reports aboard his flagship. Earth looked pathetic on the tactical displays. The third planet, from a yellow star, populated by barely evolved primates who had only just learned to split atoms. Their most advanced weapons were crude missiles that burned chemical fuel. Their space program consisted of tin cans thrown into orbit by controlled explosions. This would be the easiest conquest in hegemony history. The invasion fleet consisted of 200 warships, each one capable of glassing a continent. Thok had requested only 50 ships for this operation, but High Command insisted on overwhelming force. They wanted Earth turned into a mining colony within one planetary rotation. The locals would be relocated to work camps or eliminated if they proved troublesome. Amy grabbed her phone and started recording as the alien ships descended. The vessels were massive, each one the size of a city block, with smooth black hulls that seemed to absorb light. They moved with perfect formation, like a school of mechanical fish swimming through the sky. Her neighbors were coming out of their houses, pointing and shouting. Some were already driving away, but Amy stayed. As a materials scientist, she wanted to see what these ships were made of. The first strike hit Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado. A beam of pure energy lanced down, from orbit, turning concrete and steel into molten glass. Then came the electromagnetic pulse that was supposed to knock out all human electronics. Car engines died on highways. Power grids flickered and went dark across major cities. Cell phone towers went silent. But humans had learned something from their own atomic age. Critical military systems were hardened against electromagnetic attacks. Hidden bunkers buried deep underground still had power. Backup generators kicked in at hospitals and emergency centers. The pulse that should have sent humanity back to the Stone Age only managed to inconvenience them. Thok frowned at his tactical display. The initial strike had worked perfectly, but the follow-up scans showed unusual activity. Human military installations that should have been destroyed were still transmitting. Emergency broadcasts were somehow reaching civilian populations, despite the communications blackout. How were they managing this? The ground assault began at dawn. Massive dropships landed outside major cities, disgorging ranks of alien soldiers in powered armor. Each soldier stood 8 feet tall and carried weapons that could melt through tank armor. Their equipment was worth more than most human nations, spent on defense in a year. But the first sign of trouble came from an unexpected source. 10-year-old Tommy Wilson was walking to school in suburban Denver when he saw the aliens setting up some kind of energy barrier. The device hummed and glowed, creating a shimmering wall of force that their weapons couldn't penetrate. Tommy had been making Molotov cocktails for a school project about World War II. He had 3 glass bottles filled with gasoline in his backpack. The alien force field was designed to stop plasma bolts and particle beams. It had never been tested against a simple glass bottle filled with burning liquid thrown by a determined child. The cocktail shattered against the generator, and the flames somehow found a gap in the thermal shielding. The device sparked and died with a sound like a dying animal. Within hours, videos of Tommy's attack were spreading across the internet through emergency networks that the aliens didn't even know existed. Amateur radio operators were broadcasting the footage to anyone with a receiver. Ham radio enthusiasts, who had been preparing for disasters their whole lives, suddenly found themselves coordinating global resistance. Amy Rodriguez posted her first analysis on social media before the aliens could stop her. She had watched their ships through high-powered telescopes and noticed something interesting. The hull material seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, which meant it was probably some kind of programmable matter. But programmable matter had weaknesses. It needed constant energy input to maintain its structure. Disrupt the power source and the whole thing would collapse. Her post got shared 10,000 times before the aliens knocked out the local internet hub. But by then, it was too late. Human engineers and scientists around the world were already building on her observations. They started posting blueprints for simple devices that could interfere with alien technology. Most of the designs used common household items and basic electronics. The aliens had expected fear and chaos, but humans were responding with curiosity and anger. When the energy weapons started firing, humans threw mirrors to redirect the beams. When the hover tanks appeared, humans responded with fire hoses that shorted out their control systems. Construction workers used bulldozers and cranes to fight alien walkers. Thok received increasingly confused reports from his ground commanders. The humans weren't following any recognizable battle doctrine. They seemed to be making up tactics as they went along, adapting faster than his forces could respond. His advanced battle computers, designed to predict enemy movements, were useless against opponents who didn't follow logical patterns. The most disturbing report came from Commander Vac, who was leading the assault on New York City. Human civilians weren't fleeing in panic. They were staying behind to film the battle with small devices, then somehow sharing those recordings with other humans around the planet. Vac's soldiers were being analyzed and studied in real time by millions of human minds working together. As the first day ended, Thok realized that something had gone terribly wrong. His forces had taken heavy losses despite their technological advantage. Worse, human morale seemed to be increasing rather than breaking. They were treating the invasion like some kind of puzzle to be solved rather than a disaster to be survived. The admiral stared at the tactical display showing Earth's surface. Red markers indicated alien positions, but they were surrounded by growing clusters of blue markers representing human resistance. The pattern looked less like a military conquest and more like an infection being attacked by antibodies. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but Thok was beginning to suspect that his perfect invasion plan had one fatal flaw. It had been designed to fight a civilized enemy. The pizza delivery guy arrived at the barricade just as the alien patrol rounded the corner. Mike Santos had been delivering food in Detroit for 3 years, and he wasn't about to let an alien invasion stop him from finishing his route. He gunned his motorcycle between 2 overturned cars and watched the aliens try to target him with their fancy energy weapons. The problem with advanced targeting systems is that they're designed to track logical movement patterns. Military vehicles follow predictable paths. Soldiers move with purpose and training. But Mike was just trying to deliver a pepperoni pizza to Mrs. Johnson on Elm Street, and he knew every pothole and shortcut in the city. Dr. Amy Rodriguez had spent the night in her garage building devices based on the alien technology she'd observed. Her social media posts had reached millions of people, and now human engineers around the world were contributing to an open-source project to defeat the invasion. Someone in Tokyo had figured out how to jam alien communications using modified garage door openers. A kid in London discovered that laser pointers could confuse their targeting systems. The aliens' second day began with confidence. Admiral Thok had ordered his forces to adapt to human tactics overnight. If the humans wanted to fight with primitive weapons, his soldiers would simply overwhelm them with superior numbers and firepower. But the first problem came from an unexpected source. Captain Rex was leading a patrol through downtown Detroit when he encountered Tony Martinez, a mechanic who had spent the night welding steel plates to his pickup truck. The truck looked like something from a post-apocalyptic movie, with spikes welded to the bumper and armor plates covering the windows. Tony had also mounted a fire extinguisher system that sprayed foam at anything that got too close. Rex's soldiers opened fire with plasma weapons, but the crude steel armor somehow deflected the energy beams. The truck's speed and unpredictable movement made it impossible to get a clean shot. When Rex ordered his hover tanks to pursue, Tony simply drove through a shopping mall where the larger alien vehicles couldn't follow. Within an hour, videos of Tony's attack were spreading through emergency networks. Humans started modifying their own vehicles with whatever materials they could find. Farmers used tractors with steel plows. Construction workers drove bulldozers with improvised armor. Even soccer moms were adding kitchen knives to their minivan. Bumpers. The aliens tried to adapt by deploying faster scout vehicles, but humans had already moved on to the next phase. Teenagers on motorcycles were using hit-and-run tactics, striking alien positions and disappearing before they could respond. When the aliens adapted to motorcycles, humans switched to bicycles. When they countered bicycles, humans started using skateboards and roller skates. Alex Kim was live streaming from his bedroom in Los Angeles when he discovered something amazing. His consumer drone, the kind used for filming school projects, could completely confuse alien targeting systems. The aliens' advanced computers were designed to track weapons and vehicles, not small flying toys. Alex started using his drone to lead alien patrols away from civilian areas. His live stream got 10 million views in the first hour. Soon, thousands of humans were deploying similar drones, creating swarms of tiny flying distractions that overwhelmed alien sensors. The aliens' sophisticated air defense systems, designed to stop missiles and fighter jets, were useless against clouds of plastic toys. Amy Rodriguez made another breakthrough when she analyzed captured alien equipment. The materials were incredibly advanced, but they had one major weakness. They were designed to be efficient and predictable, which made them vulnerable to chaotic interference. She posted instructions for building simple devices that could disrupt alien technology using random noise generators and common electronics. The psychological warfare phase backfired completely. The aliens broadcast messages designed to terrify human populations into surrender. They showed images of destroyed cities and promised mercy for those who submitted peacefully. But humans responded by turning the alien broadcasts into memes and comedy videos. The aliens' threatening ultimatum became a dance remix that topped the music charts. Their images of destruction were photoshopped with funny captions and shared millions of times. Instead of breaking human morale, the propaganda campaign turned the aliens into internet celebrities for all the wrong reasons. Commander Vac reported that human behavior was becoming increasingly incomprehensible. In New York, civilians were organizing flash mobs that somehow disrupted alien communication networks. Street performers were using juggling and acrobatics to confuse targeting systems. Even children's games were being adapted into resistance tactics. The most disturbing development came when humans started treating the invasion like entertainment. News broadcasts switched from panic reporting to tactical analysis, with experts explaining alien weaknesses and suggesting counter-strategies. Sports commentators began providing play-by-play coverage of battles. Comedy shows made jokes about alien technology being inferior to human creativity. Thok watched the situation deteriorate from his command ship. His forces had superior weapons, better armor, and advanced technology, but they were losing ground to an enemy that refused to fight logically. Human tactics seemed random and chaotic, but they were somehow coordinated across the entire planet through communication networks that his technicians couldn't locate or disrupt. The breakthrough came when a teenager named Maya Patel in Mumbai reverse-engineered a captured alien communicator. Instead of trying to break their encryption or learn their language, she simply started flooding their networks with spam, computer viruses, and something called Rickroll videos. The aliens' advanced communication systems, designed for efficient military coordination, couldn't handle the random digital chaos that humans considered normal internet behavior. By the end of the second day, Admiral Thok was facing a crisis he hadn't been trained for. His technologically superior forces were being defeated not by better weapons or tactics, but by an enemy that refused to behave predictably. The humans were adapting faster than his forces could respond, turning every alien advantage into a human opportunity. Worse, his own soldiers were beginning to question the mission. Several had been captured by humans who, instead of executing them offered them food, and tried to communicate through translation apps. The aliens had been told that humans were savage primitives, but the reality was far more complex. The invasion was entering its second phase, but Thok was beginning to suspect that he had seriously underestimated his enemy. The humans weren't just resisting the invasion. They were learning from it, adapting to it, and in some cases they seemed to be enjoying it. Tomorrow would determine whether the galactic hegemony could complete their conquest, or whether humanity would prove that sometimes the most advanced technology couldn't overcome simple determination and creativity. The combine harvester came over the hill at dawn like a mechanical dinosaur hunting prey. Farmer Bob Williams had modified his John Deere with steel plates welded to the cab and spinning chains attached to the cutting blades. The alien patrol never saw him coming until it was too late. Bob had been farming corn in Iowa for 40 years, and he knew his land better than any alien computer could calculate. When their hover vehicles tried to chase him, he led them through irrigation ditches that bogged down their anti-gravity systems. When they deployed soldiers on foot, he disappeared into cornfields that provided perfect cover from their thermal sensors. Admiral Thok was having the worst week of his military career. His invasion fleet, which should have conquered Earth in hours, was now fighting a grinding war of attrition against an enemy that seemed to multiply with each passing day. Every time his forces adapted to one human tactic, the humans invented 3 new ones. The morning briefing brought nothing but bad news. Human resistance had spread to every continent. Rural communities that should have been easy targets were proving impossible to control. Farmers were using agricultural equipment as weapons. Hunters were picking off alien scouts with rifles designed for deer hunting. Even small towns were coordinating their defenses using old-fashioned radio networks. Professor William Chen at MIT had made a discovery that changed everything. Working from his basement laboratory, he analyzed wreckage from destroyed alien vehicles and found their critical weakness. The aliens' energy shields were calibrated to deflect advanced weapons like plasma cannons and particle beams, but they couldn't handle simple kinetic impacts at specific frequencies. Chen posted his findings on every platform he could access. Within hours, human engineers were building devices that could penetrate alien shields using nothing more than mechanical vibration and basic physics. The aliens' most advanced defensive technology was being defeated by principles that humans had understood since the invention of the tuning fork. Maya Patel's cyber warfare campaign was having devastating effects. The teenage hacker had recruited thousands of others around the world, creating a digital army that attacked alien networks, with weapons the aliens had never imagined. Instead of sophisticated viruses or advanced hacking tools, the humans were using spam emails, pop-up advertisements, and social media bots. The aliens' artificial intelligence systems, designed for military efficiency, couldn't process the random chaos of human internet culture. Their networks were being clogged with cat videos, chain letters, and cryptocurrency scams. Command and control systems crashed when exposed to the digital equivalent of internet comments sections. In the rural areas, the invasion was becoming a complete disaster. Farmer Bob's success had inspired others. Ranchers were using cattle herds to trample alien equipment. Loggers were dropping trees on alien convoys. Even beekeepers were weaponizing their hives against alien soldiers who had no protection against Earth insects. The aliens tried to adapt by sending larger forces to control agricultural areas, but this only made things worse. Human farmers knew every trail, stream, and hiding spot in their territory. They could disappear into landscapes they'd worked for decades, emerging to strike at alien forces before vanishing again like ghosts. City resistance was evolving too. Street artist Diego Martinez had discovered that alien holographic projectors could be hacked using simple light-based interference patterns. He started creating fake images that confused alien sensors and made their own technology work against them. His art installations were being mistaken for military equipment by alien targeting systems. The psychological impact was devastating. Alien soldiers had been trained to fight civilized enemies who followed predictable military doctrines. But humans were fighting with creativity instead of tactics, imagination instead of strategy. Every engagement brought new surprises that the aliens' battle computers couldn't predict or counter. Chef Marco Rossi was running a food truck in Chicago when he made an unexpected discovery. Captured alien soldiers were willing to trade valuable equipment for human food. Their military rations tasted terrible, and they were curious about human cuisine. Marco started a black market economy that undermined alien morale while providing humans with advanced technology. The breaking point came when humans launched their most audacious operation yet. Instead of trying to destroy the alien fleet, they decided to confuse it. Using captured alien holographic technology, they created fake images of massive human space fleets appearing in Earth's orbit. The alien sensors couldn't distinguish between real ships and sophisticated holograms. Their tactical computers calculated that Earth had somehow hidden a space navy larger than the invasion fleet. Panic spread through the alien command structure as they tried to figure out where these mysterious human reinforcements had come from. Admiral Thok found himself fighting two wars simultaneously. The obvious war against human resistance forces was bad enough, but now he was also fighting a propaganda war that he didn't understand. Humans were broadcasting their battles across the galaxy, complete with commentary and analysis that made the aliens look incompetent. The most damaging broadcast came from a human child who had built a blanket fort in her backyard and declared it an independent nation. 8-year-old Emma Thompson issued a formal declaration of war against the galactic hegemony, complete with a hand-drawn flag and a list of demands that included ice cream for all human children and puppies for everyone. The broadcast went viral across multiple star systems. Other species in the galaxy, who had been conquered by the hegemony through fear and overwhelming force, were watching humans resist the same tactics with humor and creativity. Rebellions were starting to break out on worlds that had been under alien control for decades. But the worst news for Admiral Thok came from his own forces. Several alien soldiers had requested permission to defect to the human side. They claimed that human food was better than military rations, human entertainment was more interesting than hegemony propaganda, and human society seemed more fun than their own rigid military hierarchy. Commander Vac submitted a report that Thok read 3 times before believing it. Human children in New York had organized a bake sale to raise money for alien soldiers' families back home. They had somehow learned about alien culture through intercepted communications and were offering care packages to enemy troops. The invasion was entering its 3rd day, but Thok realized that his forces were no longer conquering Earth. They were being absorbed by it. Humans weren't just resisting the invasion, they were turning it into a cultural exchange program. The final strategic assessment was clear. The galactic hegemony's most advanced invasion fleet was being defeated not by superior weapons or tactics, but by an enemy that refused to take the war seriously. Humans were treating the invasion like a game, a learning experience, and in some cases like entertainment. Thok stared at the tactical display showing Earth's surface. The red markers representing alien positions were now outnumbered by blue markers representing human resistance. But more disturbing were the purple markers representing areas where his forces were cooperating with local humans rather than fighting them. The invasion had become something unprecedented in galactic hegemony. History, it was becoming a party. The ham radio crackled to life in Frank Peterson's basement bunker at 3 in the morning. Frank was 72 years old and had been preparing for disasters since the Cold War. While the aliens knocked out modern communication networks, they hadn't counted on humans who still used technology from the 1950s. Frank's voice reached resistance cells across North America, coordinating attacks and sharing intelligence through a network the aliens didn't even know existed. Retired engineers, amateur radio enthusiasts, and electronics hobbyists had created a communication system that spanned continents using equipment that most aliens would consider primitive. Admiral Thok woke to reports that made no sense. Human resistance wasn't just continuing, it was accelerating. His forces had captured more territory during the night, but somehow humans were capturing more alien equipment than his soldiers were losing. The math didn't add up. The problem was that humans had stopped trying to destroy alien technology. Instead, they were stealing it faster than it could be replaced. Mechanic Lisa Chen had built a workshop in an abandoned subway station where she was reverse engineering alien hover technology. Her first prototype was a flying motorcycle that could outrun alien pursuit vehicles. But Lisa wasn't keeping her discoveries secret. She was broadcasting assembly instructions over emergency networks, teaching other mechanics how to build their own flying vehicles using alien components. Within hours, humans around the world were taking to the skies in jury-rigged aircraft that combined alien technology with human creativity. The aliens' advanced manufacturing couldn't keep up with human theft rates. Every piece of equipment they lost was immediately studied, copied, and improved by human engineers who had no respect for patent law or military protocol. Alien weapons were being converted into tools. Alien vehicles were being turned into toys. Even alien uniforms were being redesigned into fashion statements. Maya Patel's cyber warfare had evolved beyond simple network disruption. The teenage hacker had recruited an international team that was now actively rewriting alien software. Their artificial intelligence systems were being infected with human cultural references, memes, and philosophical concepts that crashed their logical frameworks. Alien battle computers started making irrational decisions when exposed to human humor. Targeting systems failed when processing human art. Communication networks collapsed when confronted with human poetry. The aliens' reliance on logical artificial intelligence became a critical weakness against an enemy that operated on inspiration and intuition. The morale crisis reached critical levels when alien soldiers began abandoning their posts, not from fear, but from curiosity. They wanted to try human food, learn human music, and understand human culture. Several had been caught attempting to trade military secrets for movie tickets and pizza coupons. Commander Vac submitted his final report from the ruins of Times Square, where his forces had been surrounded by humans offering hot dogs and asking for autographs. The humans weren't treating the aliens like conquerors or enemies. They were treating them like tourists who had gotten lost and needed directions. The most devastating blow came from an unexpected source. 8-year-old Emma Thompson, who had declared her backyard blanket fort an independent nation, received official diplomatic recognition from 12 human countries. Her declaration of war against the galactic hegemony was being treated as a legitimate legal document by international courts. Emma's demands had evolved beyond ice cream and puppies. She now wanted the aliens to explain why they had tried to invade without asking permission first. Her hand-drawn peace treaty included provisions for cultural exchange programs, intergalactic, friendship clubs, and a requirement that all alien soldiers say sorry for making such a mess. The broadcast of Emma's diplomatic negotiations reached alien soldiers throughout the invasion fleet. Many began questioning why they were fighting a war against children who offered them cookies and asked if they wanted to play games. The rigid, military hierarchy that held the galactic hegemony together started cracking under the pressure of human kindness. Street artist Diego Martinez had perfected his holographic manipulation techniques. He was now creating fake alien reinforcement fleets that appeared to be arriving from deep space. The illusions were so convincing that human resistance fighters sometimes shot at them, while alien forces wasted ammunition trying to communicate with projections. But Diego's masterpiece was a holographic duplicate of Admiral Thok that appeared on every alien communication channel simultaneously. The fake admiral delivered a speech announcing that the invasion had been called off due to humans being too interesting to conquer. The speech was broadcast in perfect alien language, with cultural references that only Thok himself should have known. The real Admiral Thok watched his duplicate deliver surrender terms that he had never authorized. By the time his technicians could shut down the broadcast, damage was done. Half his fleet believed they had received legitimate orders to withdraw. The other half believed they were watching their commander suffer a complete mental breakdown. Frank Peterson's ham radio network had evolved into something unprecedented. Humans were now intercepting alien communications faster than the aliens could encrypt them. Every tactical decision was being analyzed by millions of human minds working together. The aliens' military advantage was being neutralized by crowdsourced intelligence gathering. The resistance had become a global phenomenon that transcended traditional military organization. Children were building weapons from school science projects. Senior citizens were using retirement community workshops to manufacture equipment. Even prison inmates were contributing to the war effort by creating improvised devices from contraband materials. Chef Marco's black market food trade had undermined alien discipline entirely. Soldiers were abandoning guard duty to wait in line for his tacos. Some were deserting their units to work in human restaurants. The invasion force was being defeated by superior cuisine and customer service. The final crisis came when human hackers gained control of the alien fleet's entertainment systems. Instead of military broadcasts, alien soldiers were now receiving 24-hour programming of human television shows, movies, and internet videos. Many became addicted to human media and stopped following military orders to avoid missing their favorite programs. Admiral Thok realized that his invasion fleet was no longer under his control. His soldiers were more interested in human culture than galactic hegemony orders. His equipment was being stolen faster than it could be replaced. His communications were being jammed by teenage hackers with better technology skills than his trained technicians. But the most devastating realization was that humans weren't trying to defeat the invasion anymore. They were trying to adopt it. Resistance leaders were sending formal invitations to alien soldiers to join human society. Families were offering to host alien refugees. Cities were planning welcome parties for former enemies who wanted to stay on Earth. The invasion had become something that no military academy in the galaxy had prepared him for. It had become a cultural conversion program running in reverse, with the invaders being absorbed by the society they had tried to conquer. Thok stared at reports showing that human morale was higher than it had been before the invasion started. They were treating the whole experience like an exciting challenge that had brought their species together. Some regions were already planning annual festivals to celebrate their victory over superior alien technology using nothing but creativity and determination. The Admiral faced an impossible choice. He could continue the invasion and watch his remaining forces defect to the enemy, or he could admit defeat to an enemy that had never tried to defeat him in the first place. The coffee shop in downtown Austin was an unusual place for a peace negotiation, but Dr. Amy Rodriguez had insisted on meeting somewhere comfortable. She sat across from Admiral Thok at a small table, sipping her latte while the most powerful military commander in the galactic hegemony struggled with a cappuccino foam that kept sticking to his breathing apparatus. 48 hours earlier, Thok had been commanding the conquest of a primitive world. Now he was trying to negotiate surrender terms with a materials scientist who treated intergalactic warfare like a fascinating research project. The transformation was so complete that he wasn't entirely sure how it had happened. The final collapse had come when human hackers uploaded something called the Complete Cultural Archive to the alien fleet's computer systems. It contained the entire recorded history of human civilization. Music, literature, art, science, philosophy, movies, books, and billions of internet posts. The alien artificial intelligence systems, trying to analyze this data for tactical purposes, had experienced what humans would recognize as existential crises. Battle computers designed for military efficiency couldn't process human creativity. Logic circuits burned out when exposed to human humor. Strategic planning systems crashed when confronted with human poetry. The aliens' most advanced technology had been defeated by exposure to human culture in its unfiltered, chaotic entirety. Amy stirred her coffee and smiled at the alien admiral who had been trying to conquer her planet. Thok was 8 feet tall, with 4 arms and scales that shifted color with his emotional state. Currently, they were showing patterns that Amy's research suggested indicated confusion and embarrassment. The peace negotiations had started when Emma Thompson, the 8-year-old, who had declared war from her backyard blanket fort, sent Admiral Thok a formal invitation to her tea party. The invitation included hand-drawn maps showing him how to find her house and a request that he bring cookies if he wanted to discuss surrender terms. Thok had ignored the invitation at first, but then his intelligence officers reported that Emma's diplomatic communications were being treated as legitimate by human governments worldwide. 12 nations had recognized her backyard fort as an independent state. The United Nations had granted her observer status. International lawyers were seriously analyzing her peace treaty proposals. The final straw had come when half of Thok's own fleet began requesting permission to attend Emma's tea party. Alien soldiers who had been trained for decades in military discipline were abandoning their posts to play games with human children. The rigid command structure that held the galactic hegemony together was dissolving under the influence of playground diplomacy. Amy pulled up a tablet showing global celebration footage. Humans around the world were throwing the largest party in their species' history. Not a victory celebration, but a welcome party for the alien soldiers who had decided to stay on Earth rather than return to their home worlds. The cultural exchange had become completely one-sided, but not in the direction the aliens had planned. Instead of humans adopting galactic hegemony culture, aliens were becoming fascinated with human society. They preferred human food to their own military rations. They found human entertainment more interesting than hegemony propaganda. Many had applied for Earth citizenship rather than return to their home planets. Chef Marco's restaurant had become an informal embassy where alien soldiers traded advanced technology for cooking lessons. Mechanic Lisa was teaching former enemy pilots how to modify their own vehicles using human engineering principles. Street artist Diego was collaborating with alien hologram technicians to create art installations that could be seen from orbit. Tatekai. Peace treaty negotiations were unlike anything in galactic history. Instead of demanding territorial concessions or war reparations, humans were offering tourism packages and student exchange programs. They wanted to establish trade relationships, cultural partnerships, and friendship agreements with alien worlds. Emma Thompson's final peace treaty had become the template for intergalactic diplomacy. Her demands included requirements that all future alien visitors say please and thank you, bring presents for human children, and participate in community potluck dinners. The treaty also established Earth as a sanctuary world where any alien could claim refugee status by demonstrating genuine interest in human culture. Admiral Thok signed the surrender documents with a human ballpoint pen that he had traded his command sidearm to obtain. The weapon that could have leveled a city block was now being used by a human teenager to build a model rocket for a school science fair. The symbolism was not lost on either party. The aftermath of the failed invasion became a case study taught at military academies throughout the galaxy. The Galactic Hegemony's official report classified Earth as a Class X world with the designation "Avoid at all costs." The notation included warnings about humans' unpredictable behavior, adaptive capabilities, and dangerous tendency to convert enemies into friends through superior hospitality. But the real victory wasn't military or political. It was cultural. Human civilization had not only survived contact with an advanced alien empire, but had somehow managed to improve it. The refugees who stayed on Earth reported higher satisfaction levels than citizens living under hegemony rule. They had jobs they enjoyed, food they actually liked, and entertainment that didn't require government approval. Frank Peterson's ham radio network evolved into the first intergalactic communication system run by amateur operators. His basement bunker became the headquarters for a volunteer organization that helped alien refugees integrate into human society. The man who had been prepared for nuclear war found himself coordinating interstellar peace efforts. Maya Patel parlayed. her hacking skills into a position as Earth's first cyber warfare ambassador. Her job was to protect human internet culture from alien attempts to impose logical organization on their chaotic communication networks. She also taught alien computer scientists how to appreciate memes and understand why humans found cat videos entertaining. The invasion footage had been edited into a documentary that won film festivals on 12 different worlds. The movie became required viewing at alien military academies as an example of how superior technology could be defeated by cultural resilience and creative problem-solving. Several scenes of humans turning alien weapons into gardening tools became iconic images of peaceful resistance. Dr. Amy Rodriguez was appointed as Earth's scientific liaison to the galactic community. Her first project was designing new materials that combined alien nanotechnology with human engineering principles. The results were more durable, efficient, and aesthetically pleasing than anything either species had created independently. Admiral Thok eventually retired from military service and became a tour guide on the human space station that was built using hybrid alien-human technology. When visitors asked him about the failed invasion, he would shake his head and explain that his forces had encountered something outside their experience entirely. The humans had defeated his technologically superior fleet not through better weapons or tactics, but by refusing to let the war change who they were. They had maintained their curiosity, creativity, and compassion even while fighting for their survival. In the end, those qualities had proven more powerful than any weapon in the Galactic Hegemony's arsenal. The final report that Thok submitted to Hegemony Command was classified at the highest security level. It contained tactical analyses, strategic assessments, and detailed cultural observations. But the conclusion was simple enough that even political leaders could understand it. Humans were dangerous not because they were aggressive or militaristic, but because they were genuinely friendly. Their society was so welcoming and inclusive that it converted enemies into allies, competitors into collaborators, and invaders into immigrants. Any species that came into contact with humans risked being absorbed by their culture rather than conquering it. The recommendation was unanimous. Earth should be left alone, not because humans were too strong to defeat, but because they were too interesting to destroy. The galaxy was better with them in it, even if they did insist on putting pineapple on pizza and making memes out of everything.